Hello, what is up guys, I'm Kyle from KGR, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Deluxe Crash NECA figure with the jet board. Now, this is the second Crash figure within the NECA line, and the first one that came previously was the original. And the one thing I didn't like about the original was the paint job on it. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty solid figure. So does this one do any improvements compared to this? Well, only slightly, and things also got worse. So let's get the board out of the way. Let's take a look at this Crash. Now, first up, that face. That's the first thing I'm gonna mention about this figure. Why this face? The only real thing I can really think of when it comes to this face is that they were trying to like go reminiscent to the original Resource figure, but I mean, it's almost accurate. It looks weird, but it's there. The only real thing I can really think of when it comes to this face is not only is it trying to reminisce to the original figure, but I also kind of get the vibes of when they showed off the original concept art. You can see that guy right here on the original box art. That's the only pose I really went for when it came to this figure when I was having him on my shelf. Other than that, the only real thing I can think of is him having those angry eyes and then having his arms at you, like trying to look like a monster or something. Like, look, even that lighting too. Oh my goodness, that is awful. But anyway, I was saying earlier that they improved on this figure. How so? First up, the paint job on this figure is much better. It's not perfect, but it has shown quite an improvement compared to the original. Let's get the other one in comparison. Let's take at the noses. Look at that. Obviously it's gonna vary from figure to figure, but you can tell they did a much better job blending this. Also, the eyes look kind of derpy from this angle. That's just me. Like, he doesn't look as burnt. Like, the dark parts are blended in much better. It's not as dark. The light is a little bit harsh in the video, but in real life, like, you can really tell. Even on camera, you can tell there is a difference. But if you look at it in real life, you can see how dark this really is, and it really doesn't look all that great. I know some people were complaining about how the back wasn't lined up properly, but has the same problem with this one. This is my second version of the original figure. I think my first one was just fine. I can't remember. I don't even have it anymore because it broke, sadly. And the reason why it broke was, I think, like the leg broke off or something. I can't remember what happened. But there is something that I noticed with these figures is the legs do tend to get a little bit loose. So be careful with them. If you have a cat that likes to lean on these figures, get that cat away from these things, because I think that's what's happening. But yeah, they did blend this figure a lot better. I will say that firsthand. That they did a much better job. Also, the paint on the pants is different. Obviously, I feel like this one's gonna be more accurate. However, for some reason, I do like how vibrant the pants are in this one. Again, it's not video game accurate all that much at all. Like, it's much too light, it's too bright. But I think it looks half decent on a figure. So I guess take that as you will. If you don't like that, you're gonna want to stay away from this guy, but I think it looks decent. I think it looks aesthetically pleasing. But I just like pretty colors, because I'm dumb. And also, you can see how I painted his belly button? Yeah. They stopped doing that. Like, every figure after this one stopped doing it. Why? I don't know. Like, in the game, he has his belly button there. I don't know why they stopped doing it, but okay. But they still haven't fixed the hair. They never fix the hair. That's not the right color, but whatever. But other than that, it's mostly the same figure. The articulation's exactly the same. But if you don't know how the articulation is, well, let's go over it real quick. First up, we got the articulating eyebrows, so it gives him an expression on his face, so we can go for a terrifying look. I think that's all you get. It's just shocking, because that mouth. Ah! Ah! Other than that, like, we got the articulated head, which is honestly the best part about the Crash figure line in general. They did such an amazing job for a figure that really doesn't have a neck. Then you got the universal shoulders, so you can go out, you can go forward and backwards, get about a 90-degree bend almost, and then bicep swivel, is that what it's called? I can't remember what that's called. And then the hand has a joint right there hold up. Autofocus. That works. Okay, yeah. So it does that, and then rotate it. I know Anthony's Customs doesn't like that design. I kind of agree with him. Then we got his ab crunch. Oh, yeah. And you can go back a little bit far, too. But, yeah, go ab crunch. Then the legs, they only go out so far before they pop out. Actually, that looks pretty decent. Can we get a CTR version of Crash, NECA, please? I think that'd be pretty dope. Pretty expensive, probably, but I think that'd be dope. And then we got the hinge at the knee. It does feel a bit fragile, so be careful with that. And then the ankles, they can kind of keep his balance. Like, they kind of move a little bit, but not much at all. But the main seller of this figure is the fact that you're buying the jet board as well. So let's talk about this guy real quick. It's big. It's very big. I think Anthony's Custom says how it was a little bit long and like how I didn't like it all that much. I can't remember, but I think they did a good job on this guy. I did agree that it was pretty long. However, I was looking at the in-game model. Like, I even have footage right here. If you have Crash on it, if I try to replicate that pose, it matches up accurately. So I do have struggles like trying to display this on my shelf because my shelf isn't all that big. So I just have it like just hanging on the back like that, and that's how I have to display it, sadly. I can't really have Crash riding this thing. But I do love the amount of detail they put into the engine. Like, I love the timing belt. I love the scratch decals on there. Like, the paint job is mostly good. Like for the most part, it is really accurate to the game. And he even went on the details on the bottom right here, which you're probably never going to see it, but I feel like people are going to want that anyway because we have a high standard in action figures now. But yeah, the paint work on like the piping and everything, like they did really good on this. Why can't they do this good on the actual figure itself? But okay. But you do feel a difference in quality from the engine to the actual board itself when you get it in the packaging. First off, the packaging for the figure is phenomenal. It's actually collector friendly. You don't have to absolutely destroy the box. Thank Jesus. If only the rest of the figures did that, but okay. So yeah, you get it separated in the box, and then you just gotta peg it together. This feels awfully cheap and hollow compared to the actual engine, so take that as you will. And part of me wishes there was a peg on here to actually hold Crash up extremely well, but to be fair, it'd probably break, just like the original figure probably did. And I just noticed how the line work on this isn't the best, but well, whatever, I guess. So let's try to line up Crash on this board. Like, it's a little bit hard to pose him. Like, you really got to get his legs out and stuff. It's not a fun time. And plus, my stage is a little bit bent, like it's a little bit angled, so he's not gonna be able to stand up too well. But yeah, I mean, compared to the actual in-game model, that is pretty accurate. So I guess go NECA on that. Like, they got the dimensions mostly right. Like, the only real nitpick I gotta say is like I wish like the painting was a little bit longer. I guess like I wish it would have got it a little bit more accurate. Like, I feel like on these, like on the flames on the sides, they went back a little bit farther. But that's just nitpicking. I honestly think they did a really good job on recreating this board. And of course, since this figure is trying to replicate this figure, let's also compare the jet boards. So obviously this one is more game accurate, but I do love the paint job on this guy as well. Like, I think that there's a spot on Crash Warped where you actually get a good look on the jet board on the wall. So the dimensions aren't accurate, but I love the paint job. The paint job is mostly right. I think it looks great. And even then, back then, this came from a $5 or $6 action figure, okay? Keep that in mind. You got the action figure, you got the board, a crate, an Aku Aku mask, a crystal, and stickers, all for $5 or $6. Incredible, I know. So for the amount of detail they put into this figure, they actually still did an amazing job as well. There was a little fin right here, but sadly, that's broketed. And of course, you have the peg on there so you can actually have Crash like stay on it really well. But yeah, I think this is still a fantastic board as well, and I love how like these are bent as well. Like, that I always found aesthetically pleasing. And that was like the one thing that kind of bothered me about this figure. But I think even then, they probably changed it in the game so it does lay evenly like that. So what can you do? But yeah, these both look amazing. This one is definitely more game accurate, but this is still cool. Still very cool. But if there were a few things I could change about this figure, or something I would like about this figure to be better, one, I would like the ears to kind of go back so it looks like he's actually riding the board, or at least make that a separate head. Make that an option. Like, I wish the face wasn't very terrifying, but again, they're going for this look, so I mean, they tried. Again, like normal, I wish the hair was painted better. I wish they painted the belly buttons, but I don't think that's coming back anytime soon. However, if you have this figure, and you also got the new one with the Aku Aku mask, at least you finally have a Crash figure to actually hold up the mask for you. However, it does end up being a little bit top heavy, at least on my shelf. Like, the amount of times this figure has fallen off of my shelf because of the mask being on there, I can't tell you how many times. It's fallen too many times, and then it falls onto my Sonic shelf, so it makes even more figures fall over. It's not a good time, boys. It really isn't. So I would say, if you already have this figure, at least you have a mask to really go over a Crash figure without really wasting one. But do I recommend picking up this Crash figure? If you really want the jet board, and you also really want a face for the Aku Aku mask, then sure, go for it. But if you really don't care about the jet board all that much, you can pass on this figure. Because honestly, that's really what you're really paying for. That's really the only real difference with the figure. And even then, it's not that amazing. But if you do want one, go on GameStop's website. They seem to go on sale all the time. I've seen this guy as low as 20 bucks before. So if you really want one, just wait for it to go on sale again. And some of my local GameStops have had it in stock in store. So if you can't get it in your store, see if they can try to transfer it for you, at least from store to store. I only have it because I'm trying to go for the full NECA line. I want every figure in the line. But as a collector, I am gonna say it's not the best. All this figure really is better blending, but you also get a sacrifice for that. You get no belly button, not accurate pants, and still no accurate hair. When this figure originally came out, I believe they wanted like $35 to $40 for the thing, and I don't think it's really worth 35 or 40 bucks. But if you can find it for 20 through GameStop, then absolutely go for it. Sadly, I paid 40 for this guy. I mean, I still like it because I'm a fanboy. I love Crash Bandicoot, but in my opinion, this is the weakest figure out of the whole lineup. All you get is a jet board. It doesn't really do much else. And that concludes my review for this figure. It's decent. Like, for 20 bucks, sure, go for it, but I wouldn't really recommend paying over that because it's not the absolute best figure, but it's an improvement compared to this guy. So if you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. For my next figure review, I am either gonna do the next figure in the lineup, the Jetpack Crash, or even the NECA Spyro, because when I did my last Crash figure review, I actually had one person say how they want me to do a review on this guy. So I'll let you guys vote in the comments. Would you rather see a Jetpack Crash or a Spyro figure review? Because I'm gonna review either one of them. My original plan was to do all the Crash figures and then do Spyro, but if you really want to see a Spyro review that fast, then I'll put him on hold. I'll do this guy first, because believe me, I actually do have a few things to say about this figure. Some good, some bad. But yeah, look for... Oof. Oh boy. Oh, we got figures falling. Oh no. Okay, let's try to fix that. Sweet Jesus. Anyway, yes, I am going to try to do more figure reviews. I'm trying to squeeze in time for it, so if you want to see more, let me know in the comments, subscribe, all that jazz. And I also got the Mewtwo SH Figure Arts, so if you want to see a review for that, I'm down for that too. But yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and yeah, peace, I think. I'll see you later, guys.